going to be in Nehemiah chapters 3 and 4 today, which really begins the actual reconstruction of part of the walls of Jerusalem. Chapter 3 is very difficult for us because archaeologically we have not found all these places. There was a major archaeological work done on this by Kathleen Kenyon in the 1960s, where she found that the walls of Jeremiah's Jerusalem were very much smaller than the walls during the Jerusalem of Jeremiah.
Welcome to this Tuesday edition of the podcast. I'm Rebecca Muniz, and today we're continuing Dr. Bob Utley's Nehemiah Rebuild, Restore, Rise sermon series. This teaching is shared freely with believers around the world because of friends who support this ministry. If today's message blesses you, any gift before Friday, August 7th, at midnight, no matter the amount, will unlock the full uncut videos of the entire series, including the message you're listening to now, along with Dr. Bob's accompanying commentary. You'll find a link in the description. Now, let's open up God's Word together.
Now, apparently what happened is two things are occurring. Nehemiah is going to divide the population from the surrounding cities into about 40 sections or 40 groups to do certain parts of the walls. It's going to happen in a relatively short time, 52 days. Now, the reason he could do it in such a short time is this. Number one, the northern part of the walls and the western part of the walls only had to be repaired. They had to be rebuilt. The material was there. Everything was there. It simply had to be put back in place with mortar and wood beams. But now the Jerusalem of the pre-exilic period, on the Mount of Olives, the wall went way down the side of the slope to include some of the springs so there'd be water for Jerusalem in time of siege. But because of the improvement of cisterns and other things, and because there were so few people that lived in Jerusalem, Nehemiah apparently started not at the bottom toward the brook Kidron, but up on the crest, the high ground, and made a new wall along the eastern ridge of the Kidron valley there. And so we have somewhat different sites. There has not been a lot of opportunity for archaeological confirmation of this because the city of Jerusalem is built on top of this, and it would take destroying the current structures. The best map that I have ever seen of this is found in this InterVarsity Press published Tyndale Old Testament series on page 85. And it shows that chapter 3 follows the night ride of Nehemiah when he first got there. We're starting at the Sheep's Gate, and we're going, and that's on the that'll be on the western wall about midway down, in a counterclockwise fashion around to the Sheep's Gate again. I think this map is going to be very helpful. Most of the archaeological sites are uncertain. Kenyon's discoveries have found that Nehemiah city covered between 2,100 meters if you do not include the north wall, and about 4,150 if you include the north wall. So it was relatively a small city. We have also learned that the structure on the eastern slope, primarily the ridge, was about 9 feet thick, a very rough construction that shows the rapidity with which it was built. And that fits this chapter completely. There are a lot of gates here. It's only surmise on most of them. We're going to divide the families up in a very unusual way. It's going to be the sons of so-and-so are going to deal with this section. The people from this and this city are going to deal with this section. And then finally, this profession, be it Levites or goldsmiths or perfumers, are going to deal with this section. And then in chapter 4, we're going to get into still the opposition of the surrounding countries to the reconstruction of Jerusalem. Now, Eliashib, the high priest, now of course he was the grandson of Jeshua that came back under Zerubbabel, and his brothers, the priest, and built the Sheep's Gate. Now the Sheep's Gate seems to be the gate on the western side of the temple where the sacrificial sheep were brought in. It would be toward Bethlehem where those sheep were kept. Okay? They consecrated. Now the part they built, they had a special dedication. There's going to be a general dedication later in Nehemiah. But these priests had a special dedication for this particular gate that was used for the cultus. They consecrated and hung its doors, and they consecrated the wall to the towers of the 100 and the towers of Haniel. Now these towers seem to be fortresses connected with this gate very close to the temple. And so they were the ones. And Nehemiah was very smart in giving these people the area of the wall that was somehow connected to them, either geographically or professionally.
Through the years, God has really impressed on me to try to provide materials free for those people, particularly in the third world, who just don't have access to libraries and seminaries and Bible study opportunities. So I'd like for you to do two things for us. Number one, many of you have known me for all these 50 years. I really am asking you to help us to fund these biblical centers, both in Africa and Southern Asia. I think you can trust me that your money will go to what you direct it to. Others of you are just not able to do that, and I understand that, but I really want to ask you to pray for these centers, that we'll be able to find those pastors who are teachable, who are searching for a good, solid, theological, exegetical, biblical base for their theology. And so I think you can pray or you can give, but we appreciate you. You've been so gracious through the years. I just have not asked you to help us many times. But these centers seem to be the next step that Bible Lessons International or Free Bible Commentary is trying to take.
Or where close to their ancestral homes. And so they had a real sense of personal impetus in their reconstruction. Now, notice in verse 2, the next to him were the men of Jericho. Now, Jericho was not in Jerusalem except in the reconstruction time, post-exilic. We see Ezra 2:34, where Jericho was included in this small province of Judah under Artaxerxes I. Okay, so the men of Jericho came to help build the part of the wall that faced Jericho. Now the sons, and we have all these different Hebrew names, built the fish gate. Many think this is the gate where the fish were brought into the city from the Sea of Galilee or the Jordan River. And they laid its beams. Now this laid its beams seems to mean they finished it by putting a roof on it, is the Hebrew idiom here, and hung its doors with its bolts and its bars. Next to them, and then we have a man who's mentioned in Ezra chapter 8:33. Here's the connection between Nehemiah and Ezra. Notice the next one. It says, moreover, next to him, the Tehokites. So these are the people from the town of Tehoka. And it also, this verse shows that the noblemen or the rich people of that town were not supportive. This shows that Nehemiah didn't have unanimous support, and that the rich people were his major problem. Okay, not the poor, but the rich. Notice it mentions the old gate. Now, the Jerusalem Bible, which is the New Catholic translation, a very excellent translation, says the gate of the new quarters. Now, some put it's just his Hebrew name, the Jeshanah Gate, or Jeshanah, which it is, we're just not certain. In verse 7, we have the men of Gibeon and Mishpah. Now, they're about 4 or 5 miles north of the city of Jerusalem. Notice it mentions here the official seat of the governor of the province beyond the river. Now, the satrap of the province beyond the river, and that's the official Persian name for Syria and Palestine all the way to Egypt. Apparently, when he was in Jerusalem, he had a special house, and these men worked on that. Notice it mentions in verse 8, some of the things we can't describe is the broad wall. Now, some think that means a special inner wall or a especially wide place where the wall was very fortified because it was vulnerable. We're just not sure. Next to him, and we have some more Hebrew names, the official of half of the district of Jerusalem. Now, this word official can be taken several ways. There are many listing of officials through here. The Persians had layer after layer of administration. That's obvious from Persian records. Some think this refers not to the Persian official, but to the foreman who was in charge of half of the laborers from the city of Jerusalem. And that seems to fit the context much better. These layers of administration, or foreman, either one, can be seen both here in verse 9, verse 12, verse 16, verse 17, verse 18, and verse 19. And so we see either layers of administration or these foremen of certain geographical sites. When it mentions in verse 10, opposite his house, we're not sure, of course, where these houses are, but it does show that Nehemiah gave them areas that they were very emotionally tied to. Okay, notice in verse 12 it mentions another section. Now, we have no record of the first section. This second section is mentioned in verses 11, 19 through 21, 24, and 30, which tells us that we have a partial list, and that's what makes it so difficult. It's unusual that it's so specific both in genealogies and in the physical description, and yet it's not complete. There's been some corruption of the text of Nehemiah, and apparently this has resulted in some names falling out and some places falling out. Now, the furnace tower, we don't know where that is at all. Notice it mentions again in verse 12, half the district of Jerusalem made repairs, he and his daughters. Now, some have said it doesn't mean literally daughters. It means surrounding towns. And that would be chapter 11, verse 25, 27, and 28, where that's corroborated. But it seems here, the text seems to imply that his daughters helped, and there's nothing make that impossible. Okay? Now, notice another town is mentioned in verse 13, Zoanna. It's 9 miles to the west of Jerusalem. They repaired the valley gate. Notice it says, and 1,000 cubits of the wall to the dung gate. Well, now this is a very small town. And some have said it's impossible if they built 1,000 cubits. Now, a cubit is the distance from a man's longest finger to his elbow. It's usually about 18 inches, though we know of a long cubit in some parts of the Bible, especially Egypt, which is about 20 inches. And so this seems to be too long of a period for a small town, too long of a wall. And so some have said it's just the distance between these two gates, not exactly what this little town fixed, and that may be true. Notice we have another district in verse 14. Now this little town is very close to Tekoa, and it's mentioned in Jeremiah 6, chapter 1. In verse 15, we have another district, this one of Mizpah, another city, another gate, the fountain gate.
Thank you for joining me on this Tuesday. It's a joy to walk through scripture with you. This ministry continues because friends like you help make biblical teaching freely available around the world. If today's message ministered to you, remember that any gift before Friday, August 7th at midnight unlocks the complete, uncut Nehemiah Rebuild, Restore, Rise sermon series. The full video of today's message and Dr. Bob Utley's commentary to study alongside it. The link is in the description. Until next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you.